Who would like to do it? I can say I don't want to do it all, so.
I'll do it again. I did it last time, but I'll do it again.
Oh, thank you, Jacob.
Okay. Dear Heavenly Father, please bless it as we start this discussion in our group, that we'll be able to discuss and learn from one another. We give thanks for the opportunity to have the technology to be able to come together and learn together as well. And we ask these things in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Jacob.
You're welcome.
So let's dig into this discussion. So the first question to discuss is, from your personal experience, what have been key behaviors in effective teams? So I don't know, it could be probably at church, work, school, anything that you can share.
So I'll share one of the ones that I came up with, and one of the ones that I identified was that you all have a common goal. And the successful teams that I've seen, everybody has something that they're working towards, that they have in common, that allows them to move in the same direction. You know, if you have a sports team, you're all obviously trying to win. If you're working for a company, you're all trying to, you know, sell a product or make a customer happy, or it just depends whatever your business is. In your family life, obviously, you're trying to make it to the celestial kingdom. So it just really depends on what kind of group you're a part of. But whatever that group is, as long as you guys all have a common goal, I found that's one of the keys. If you have somebody that has their own agenda, or you know, isn't on the same page, it often leads to contention. So yeah, that would be the first thing I would say.
Cool. I think that's great. I think that you say you work with customers, right?
Right. So I mean, it depends on what your business is. Like, I don't generally deal with them because that's not the business I'm in, but just kind of depends.
So how many people do you work with?
I work with, so my team is only like 4 guys, but
okay.
but we work with a lot of people just throughout the hospital that I work with.
Okay. So will you say that the key factors for you to be efficient, you will have to name them like that? Which one will you say are those, this, you have to point at them?
What do you mean?
If you have to point at some aspect that make you more effective as a team, what would be those points that you can mention?
One of our biggest things is everybody being on the same page as far as the policies and procedures, the way that we do things. Communication is key, especially when we're in a high intensity situation, or you know, kind of an emergency call. Those are probably the 2 of the biggest things that I think we rely on the most.
Okay. Thank you. So to be on the same page in communication. What about you, Jacob? Do you have any experiences working in a team?
Yeah, I mean, back when I first got off my mission, the first immediate jobs I got were at McDonald's and Burger King. I think that just like that kind of small of a business, the team has to be together. Like the cooks have to be aligned with the people that are putting the order on there, and everything needs to be correct, because if everyone's not doing their own part, the team's going to fall. You can't just have one person doing everything, because we learned that that's just too much pressure on them. So they need to, I guess, like, I mean, you know, you have your role and like what you're supposed to do and everything. So as long as you're doing your part, everything should be successful.
Okay, so every member has to do their part and everything will work perfectly fine, right?
Hopefully, yeah, that's the goal. Yeah.
That's the goal.
Yeah. There's
no laid back person who's doing nothing.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. Well, I don't know. You have anything to add? I don't see your name here.
Logan.
Logan. I like your name. Logan, is there anything you want to add that has not been mentioned in this aspect?
Yeah, I've been able to work in a lot of different teams in my workplace for the last almost decade. We've had lots of people come and go, and I've been able to see the growth and what I've seen successes and I've seen failures. There's been a lot of times where we've hired people more just out of desperation, I want to say. We needed somebody really bad. We'd bring them on and then they wouldn't be the right fit. And so then we'd have to get rid of them. And then it just was killing our momentum and it wasn't helping our team. But from what I know, in my experience, the key behavior that I've noticed that helps for teams is when everyone is honest and they can basically just be themselves. It's when you get the people that are trying to be someone they're not, or they have a different personality at work versus at home. That's part of what we read. The vibe that they put off just doesn't work with everybody. You need it to be relaxed. You need everybody to feel open and comfortable. And if everybody's not, like I said, honest with themselves, then it makes it hard for everyone to feel that way.
That's pretty neat. I think that's a very important aspect, because if you can have communication, but if you're not really honest about your thoughts, and we're gonna dig into that in a couple minutes, I think it might affect the performance of the team. I personally added a couple aspects at that point, and I said that the team leader have to set clear goals. Sometimes there are no goals that are clear for the team, they don't know where they're going. So everyone go their own way and they get confused. It's a waste of time, it's a waste of energy, and people get frustrated because they don't know what to do. So I think that leadership is very important in a team. But at the same time, I like to tie that with micromanagement. I think that when people work without too much micromanagement and they know their role and what to do, they perform better. That has been my experience. I don't know what you guys think about it. But I think when people know what they have to do and they're accountable and they work well and they are trusted, you don't have to be all the time around them to do their job. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, it definitely takes away trust if they feel like they have to be micromanaged all the time.
So have you had that experience when someone is micromanaging you all the time?
Yeah.
Jacob said yes. So does that bother you, or that makes you feel comfortable? Because some people like to get directions all the time. Some people don't.
Yeah, like, I mean, I've been with the bank. I work for US Bank. I've been with them for 3 years now. And so I've had different managers because I've transferred from Utah to Idaho. And so in that time of 3 years, I've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I had 5 different managers. And I can definitely just define each manager, like if they're micro, if that's like how they like to roll, or if they actually will listen to you and everything. And every time they were just like, these managers that would just try to do everything, they just micro-control you. Just never ended well at all.
Yeah, it exhausts people. Well, those are good points. Moving to the next one, it says, what do group norms have to do with effective team building? The question is there is more than one question here, but maybe we want to break it down unless you want to. But it says, what do group norms have to do with effective team building? That's one. What would you say your current B321 group norms include unspoken and spoken norms? Are they healthy group norms? If no, what could be changed? So maybe we can talk about what do you guys think about that. You can pick any question and answer. It's up to you. I mean, there are several questions in that aspect only.
So one of the things we talked about in the first question was that, a team has to have respect for each other. People have to be able to respect, supervisors have to respect employees, team members have to be able to respect each other. And so I think when you have group norms and you have people that follow those, it's a chance for respect to actually be established, to gain and to build that respect. But I think if you have people who break those group norms, then that trust and that team kind of erode. So, I think one of the group norms, and we kind of talked about this, I think Logan mentioned it, you have to be honest with people. So I think one of the group norms would be that you're honest with each other. It's a chance for you to learn and to grow. So if you're sitting here in the meeting saying, oh yeah, I know everything and I'm good, And then when it comes time to kind of pull your weight with something, you don't, nobody else is really going to trust you. And so I think, and then that's kind of breaks down the team. So I think as you keep and you keep those norms, that they allow you to build your team, and to build that respect within it. And then as you work together as a team, obviously you can accomplish your goals.
Thank you, Brian. I think respect. I don't know if you have noticed this, but on the case study we have been reading, most of them have to do a lot with respect. There is a lot of respect involved. And I think that's a very important aspect. Even in this case that we read, what Google learned from its quest, I think that people, when you respect others and you're sensitive to other people's needs and feelings, they know that you got them. And because of that, they trust you. And they will do their very best. They will work at the very, very, very best. And then, you can rely on them. So that's what I think about that. What do you think about our group? This is the first time I'm with you guys. So what do you guys think so far about our group? I mean, we have some norms, but how do you feel? Do you feel comfortable with our group? Do you feel like we're still kind of getting to know each other? This is still just the beginning of the semester. Do you think that you can, get some support from each other, or is this a fun group, or is this a quiet group? How do you guys feel about us in a group?
Well, we're kind of shy at the beginning to say the prayer, that's for sure.
Not like in primary, when you're in primary, who wants to say up? Me. And as you grow up, it's different. You cannot like, I'm gonna wait for somebody else to say, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, actually, like in any new group you have, it always takes time to like actually get that not respect, but just get that feeling like, oh, okay, I can trust this person, or I feel more comfortable on this person. So usually that first visit is always just like, how are these people? Are they cool or not? Like, it's like when you go on a date with somebody, you're going to find out if you like the person. So the first date's always kind of like semi-awkward because you're getting to know them.
Yeah, when I read this question, I was like, isn't that too early? Because I was like, this is my first time meeting you. I see your posts sometimes and I reply to them, and sometimes I ask you questions just to get some kind of feedback and get it going. But I think we are on the right track. Okay, so the next question is, how does psychological safety in a team increase overall effectiveness?
Well, hey, real quick, back on that last question. I think it was you, Veronica, on the discussion board. I read your answer, and you said something that I found interesting that I didn't really think of before. Because, we're kind of talking about group norms that we've established, which in my answer I actually put, well, I didn't turn this in, but I originally had put, I have no idea because I don't know these people. And then I went back and put something else in there. But Veronica, I believe you had said, like we have like the honor code that we're going to live by. And we have norms that are kind of, I don't want to say forced upon us because we all agree to live by them as we go to the school, but we actually do have norms that we have within our group because of the institution that we're going to. And so it's kind of the same thing. Like if you have like your work team, right? Like you're going to have norms because there's certain rules and policies and procedures within that. So I just think that was interesting, is that group norms don't always come from the group themselves, but there can sometimes be some outside forces that kind of force you into some certain norms.
Thank you. I didn't want to say it, but I appreciate that you point that out. I think that we do have all those norms that you mentioned. That's what I put that in the post. And we have the academic honesty policy, and we have the honor code, and we have, every time you participate in a group in any class, it will point out things like you have to be respectful of others. You have to take turns. You have to be thoughtful of what they're thinking and feeling. So those are kind of healthy norms. And I guess that will be the answer to the last one. It is healthy, because when we come to this group meeting tonight, I know all of us have things going on: school, personal life, work, callings, everything. And so when we get together, we have to be, caring and think about each one, what they might be going through. Somebody might be going through a very hard time in their life too, a challenging time. But we're making the time to get together and learn from each other. And that's the other thing that I mentioned, that we are supposed to prepare, teach, and share, because I might know something that you don't know, but you might know a lot of things that I don't know and I want to learn. And to me, it's very enriching, the experience of getting to know people and exchange. Don't you guys think so?
Yep.
I agree.
Okay, so now we're gonna go to the next question. Thank you, Ryan. How does psychological safety in a team increase overall effectiveness? Psychological safety. So what is psychological safety? Do you guys remember that from the reading?
Yeah, I think I saw someone's example, I forget who said it, but someone in our class, was basically like, it's like a safety zone for someone. If they feel comfortable, they're going to open up, but if they don't feel comfortable, they're going to be that person that doesn't want to, not lead, but like,
Hello?
so it's like I feel it's like a bubble. You know, like everyone has their own bubble, and if they invade their space, it's like if you just get to the point where they're just like, oh, I don't want to do anything anymore. I just want to get down with this and everything.
You know, now you're bringing that up that way. I made me think about us. Do you think that we are experiencing, or we're getting closer to the psychological safetyness in a group? I think that's something important. I mean, I appreciate what you just said, Jacob, because it's true. I mean, when you feel comfortable, you get to the point that you can open up a little more. And that happens, you know, and people feel sometimes very vulnerable and they don't want to do it, but sometimes it helps them and it helps the team. Any other opinions on that? Ryan,
Yeah,
again?
I'd say that so the question is that how does it increase our effectiveness? Mm-hmm. Well, if we're psychologically safe as a team, then we're going to develop our talents more. We're going to use our talents more. We're not going to hide them, and therefore the effectiveness is increased. I also want to add that it has to, like in a workplace, it has to start from the top. Much like the reading, the guy's name was Matt Sakaguchi. If you remember him, he was a mid-level guy at Google, and apparently he had a terminal illness, and he took the time to explain that to his team. And after that, like, it immediately, like, everybody's had like a paradigm shift and looked at him differently, and they started to also open up and share, and then next thing you know, everybody's psychologically safe there together. So.
And he wasn't afraid. He wasn't afraid. He was not concerned that they will feel, oh, poor guy. You know, he was just, okay, let's share who we are. Let's share our reality. And he opened up, and then everyone started opening up after he did it. And he was leading the team. So I think that's a very important point, that it increased the effect. They bond. I think that's what happened. When you open up with people that you know you can trust and they trust you, you kind of bond, you connect. And I think that's the effectiveness part that probably Logan is that what you're referring to, Logan? That they kind of bond, they connect, so they're more effective because of that. Any other opinions on that, Brian?
I was just gonna I found that story extremely interesting. You know, it kind of seemed like they were struggling as a group. Like they were all talented and they all had, you know, the tools to do it, but for whatever reason they just couldn't get over that hump until they kind of got that. And I think it's interesting, especially in like a work environment or a school environment where you want to feel like, you know, I guess you don't want other people to show you up. So if you're sitting here and you have, you know all the problems that you're going through, but you're looking out and you see that everybody else has all their stuff together, that doesn't make you want to share anything with them, because you might think that they're going to look down on you, or that their opinion is going to be negative, that you're going to negatively impact their opinion of you. So I think it's interesting. I was a couple months ago, I was at home teaching, and my home teaching companion shared a story by one of the, I believe it was one of the 70, and he was talking about, when you go home teaching, families often clean up the first room in their house. Everybody has that home teacher, and it's the first room in the house. They get you in, they clean up that room, they put their home teachers in there, so it looks like everything's great. But the rest of the house is usually a mess. They have all these problems. Their teenagers doing this, their 8-year-olds doing this, and they don't really have everything put together, but they want it to look like they do. So they make just that front room nice and tidy, and everybody's sitting there happy and smiling as the home teachers come over. And so it doesn't look like anything's going on. And so he kind of talked about how we often put on this face for everybody else so that it doesn't look like we have our issues, because we often don't see that other people are going through issues. But I think when you break down those walls and you're able to kind of get to know someone on a deeper level, and you're able to build, I guess, deeper connections and have more things in common with them, you're able to work together better. You understand where they're coming from. If you have someone that comes in and they seem like they're having a bad day, and you think, well, they're just being a jerk today, then that's how you're going to react. But if you're like, well, hey, maybe they're going through a divorce, or maybe they're going through some financial crisis that you don't know about. If you know some of that stuff about them, then you understand a little bit about why they're maybe behaving the way they are. So you're able to show a little bit more compassion for them.
Yeah. Yeah. Home teaching is old doctrine, right?
No, I do.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, it was like the last month before they got rid of me.
No, that's cool. No, you're right. People...
but it is. Okay, so there's another question tied to that I don't want to skip it because it's really important. It says, what are the rules of communication and empathy in creating psychological safety? Talking about rules. What do you guys think when they ask for rules? I think there are rules.
Say rules or roles?
Oh, sorry, roles.
Okay, I was like, I don't remember rules. Okay.
Here. I have an outline in front of me, but no here, right here. I need my glasses. Okay, thank you, Ryan. What are the roles of communication and empathy in creating psychological safety?
I think the empathy has to go kind of with what I was just talking about. When you're able to understand what someone else is going through, and you're able to have compassion on them, then you're able to be a better teammate, and they're able to feel that. If you're on a team, and I've been on teams like this, and I'm sure you guys have, where you work with somebody who you feel like somebody's always judging you, they're always putting you down. Every decision you make, or every answer you give, it's not good enough, or it's not how they would have done it, so it's not the right way. I personally just quit talking to them. Like, I don't want nothing to do with that kind of person or that kind of negativity. So, but that affects the group. But if you have people who are, empathetic towards you, towards your situation or to your ideas, then you're willing to work with them. And then when they have differing opinions or differing ideas, or when they're going through something, you're a lot more apt to show that same compassion towards them.
Good. Anybody else?
I agree. I experienced that very thing where I'm at, where we had, he wasn't over me, but he was over a different kind of department, and this guy just was always, nothing was ever good enough, no matter what, no matter how hard other people were working and trying to make it right and just trying to help, and just because it was not done by him or his way, it was never good enough. And it wasn't good. He was actually making people were leaving. They didn't want to deal with it anymore. And actually 2 or 3 weeks ago, this guy I'm talking about actually decided to just leave because he was putting too much on himself. He wasn't trusting his team, and he decided he couldn't do it anymore. And he just walked out. He didn't even give us notice. And it left us in a mess. That's why I work till about 7:30 every night, 5 to 7. Pretty tough. Wasn't planning on that for this semester.
Yeah.
Wow. sometimes, I guess sometimes some people are very perfectionist, very demanding, and this reminds me kind of the other case we study when someone is very have high expectations, not only of themselves but of people around them, and they expect that, and it start drowning people energy. You know, you drown people energy when you behave like that. That's what I think.
You're exactly right. Exactly right.
Yeah.
And,
so
it's interesting because it's not necessarily a bad thing to have high expectations or to have, expect perfection, but it's when you couple that with no communication or no empathy or no willing to change or no willing to help no willingness to help anybody else, that's when you have problems. So it's kind of those things that we're talking about. Like, it just shows how important they are.
Yeah, and I think that's a very important point, Ryan, because one thing, if you're a leader, we come back to the communication. What you just said is very important because you're explaining why this has to be done this way, why not this way. You can even ask people for their input, to participate, and you can consider them when it's applicable. So people feel more part of the team. It's not like just one person and you do because I said so. So I think it's important that you apply other aspects to that as well. Okay, the next question is, how does sharing personal experience and being vulnerable influence team dynamics? I think Logan can already mention that story there.
Sorry, you cut out. Did you say something?
Yes, we are the question number 4. How does sharing personal experience and being vulnerable influence team dynamics?
You're right. I jumped ahead by answering that already, but
I know, that's what I said. Logan can answer that already. So, and then he says, do you have any personal example of this in an organization you are involved in? And you don't mind me, I'm gonna share something with you that I cannot put there. In my team, well, you guys don't need to know that, but my dad has a terminal medical condition, and that's the reason why I travel so often to Chile. So the last time I had to go for, before the last time I had to go for an extended period of time to be with him. And so I asked my team how will we do it? Because I have a lot of work to do, and they rather to split the work, but I don't want anybody else replacing me. And I think when you work with someone for such a long time, you get to know the people and they feel comfortable with you and you feel comfortable with them. So it makes it really, really hard. But I opened up to them about how important it was for me to go, and they totally understood that. And they were very empathetic, and they did a good job when I was gone. And so I really felt that impacted them. They really appreciated more when I was gone. They were so excited when I was back. They said, we're so happy you're back. So that's my personal experience. So I don't know, you guys have any experience to share on that? It's similar. It says, it's giving an example. Think of the example of Sakaguchi, the one that Logan already shared. If we're done with that, we can move to the next one. Do we move to the next question? We're almost done.
That's fine.
Okay,
Yeah,
so the last one is. Oh, I'm sorry. You want to say something?
No, I was gonna say I don't have any.
Okay. All right. What can you do as an individual to initiate effective team behavior?
I think a good role for everyone is just, the number one, what's the word? The number one goal you can have for yourself is just to respect others how you would want to respect from other people as well, or how you want people to respect you. Because it's just something good to have, because nobody likes somebody coming in. Like, for example, when I transferred over here to the branch here in Rexburg, I had my ways of how I did things over in Utah and everything. And the rest of the people had their ways of how they did their things and everything. So I had to respect them and just not burst their bubble and be like, no, that's not how it's done. I had to listen to them. And there was many things I actually did learn from them. Like, oh, I didn't know you could do that or anything. So just before jumping in and trying to show everyone like your number one. Take the time to learn how people have done before, and once it gets comfortable, then you can be like, hey, maybe this could be better change if we did this way or that way, and then it could end up being successful or not.
Thank you. That's good. Anybody else?
Yeah, I'll just go ahead, Ryan.
Oh, I was just saying the one thing I put was lead by example. Just do it. You know, you can't expect others to act a certain way. This kind of goes with what Jacob was saying. You can't expect others to act in a certain way if you're not doing it. You know, and I think especially as a leader, but even just as a team member, you know, if you expect others to, you know, be respectful or to, you know, work hard or be honest, like you have to be that same person. And as you're that same person, as you kind of set the tone, others will change and become more like that.
Yeah. I was just going to say, one thing that I can do as an individual is just be observant of you guys as my group, as my team, and try to just feel you out if it seems like there's more that you want to say or that you're trying to say. Allow each one of you guys the opportunity to get those thoughts out there. So just being observant. Also asking good follow-up questions is always helpful for that.
Good. I cannot say the same that Ryan said before. I put that in my by the way, I have a question. I'm gonna make a little break there. Are we supposed to post in the case activity or just the link? Because there is one instruction that it says just post the link, and then there is another one that says share, start a new thread. So I'm kind of confused. What do you guys think?
So I saw the same thing. So I initially posted it, and then I saw the other instructions, so I deleted it, and then I saw someone posted a question on the discussion board. And the instructor said, go ahead, because he contacted whoever writes the course, and they agreed that it was confusing. So he said, just go ahead and post your actual answers. So I went back a third time and reposted my answers that I had already deleted. So it is confusing, but from the last thing he said was that the instructor said, just go ahead and post your answers. And he put that on. He put that on the question and answers discussion board.
Okay, so we, in the case activity, besides putting the link for this meeting, we also can do a posting weekly, right?
Right, and I don't know if they're going to change those for the future, like to go back and clarify it, because it didn't sound originally like in the first instructions that we needed to. It just sounded like, you know, do these questions and prepare for the case. But then this week, yeah, it said do it, and then it said not to do it, and then he put just go ahead and do it. So maybe next week it'll be changed again. And I kind of noticed that with some of the courses is that they go through week to week and change stuff. So it might be changed by next week. They might have gone in and fixed it, but for this week, he said just go ahead and post it.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for sharing that, because I think we need some insight on that. So I in my post I put that something of what Ryan already said, so I'm not gonna repeat it. What is consistency? It's just being consistent. What you say, what you do. To be an example. Other way to be more effective is listen. And just so you guys know, I'm gonna tell you a secret that is not gonna be a secret because it's recorded. But I'm a talker. You can probably tell when you read my post. I'm a talker, but I'm a doer too, and I do both. I'm a talker and a doer. So it has been a really nice experience for me to listen to you and from what you have experienced and learned. And well, I think that's it. Is there anything else that you guys would like to add?
I'm good.
Ryan?
Nope, I don't have anything in particular. I think we've kind of covered everything.
Don't think so. So from your question, to go back to that, we do need to post answers to the questions that we just talked about, or is talking about them here good enough?
It sounded like it, so all I did, because I usually do everything in a Word document, so I just copied and pasted it. Like I said, maybe by next week it'll be changed again, but yeah, he said for this week, just go ahead and post it.
I've been posting it since week 1, just to be sure, but yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you for that. And so we had to do a summary here. So I was taking notes. You saw me doing this because I was taking notes of what you said. So today we learned that there are a couple aspects that are important, like we had to have good communication. To have an effective team, we had to good communication. To be on the same page, we had to do our part. We had to be honest. And okay, I hope I understand what I wrote here. and then for the norms, the most important one that you guys mentioned is to be respectful. And then for as for the safetyness and everything, how that help us to be effective. You said that help us to develop talents, and that increase our effectiveness. And also breaking down walls, we can find deeper connections with the people around us. And also it's important that we listen and we share what we can do and what we are good at, but also that we can be an example so others can follow. So I think this has been a great discussion. I appreciate your inputs. And I think that we're meeting again next Friday. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, every Friday, yeah.
And it's going to be time for Logan?
Yeah, I'm week 5.
I'm week 6.
And Jacob, you're on week 6?
Yep.
There you go. Well, you don't guys have anything else to that? I hope you have a wonderful weekend.
Did we end with a hymn and a prayer? No, I'm just kidding.
Nah, what? We can do it. Guys, it was fun and nice to get to know you. It's interesting to know your backgrounds and what you do. Jacob, we didn't get to talk to you much, but we will continue talking so we'll get to know each other better.
All right, later, guys. Have a good night.
Yeah.
See ya. I'm going to send you the link and I'm going to post it, okay?
Okay, thanks.
Bye.
Bye.